Hey everyone, so today I want to talk about the 2012 film Great Expectations. Now first of all, there are two reasons why I went to see this. One is because it is a Dickens adaptation and I do love Dickens, I'm a huge fan of Charles Dickens' work. But the second reason is of course because Helena Bonham Carter is in this. She plays Miss Havisham, which I will talk about in a moment. And as most of you will know, I am a massive Helena fan, so I do apologise now if this seems to be weighted more towards Helena's character than the others, but I will try and keep it balanced, I promise. Now, this is obviously based on Charles Dickens' novel by the same title. And in this story, orphaned boy Pip, who lives with his sister's husband Joe and is becoming an apprentice to be a blacksmith, he lands some property, he falls into property, but he's not allowed to know where this comes from. Regardless of this, he moves to London to become a gentleman and live a new life and try and better himself in that way because he wants to be educated and he wants to better himself as most do at the time. And while he's there, he realises that his past life, his life in Kent, is closely tied with his present in London. When he was a small boy, he became a servant for Miss Havisham. He was basically employed to associate himself with her daughter Estella. And it's a very weird relationship, and we find that is closely linked to his life in London. But there are all sorts of questions raised. It's, what role does Estella and Miss Havisham play? There are various characters brought in which we kind of think, from the past, what do they do in the future? You don't expect them to be there. It's kind of, what is Pip's fate, and in whose hands does his fate lie? There's all sorts of different themes played out here. We have power, control, love, fortune, stature, revenge, poverty. And you're kind of watching it, and the main message isn't to put emphasis on money, I wouldn't personally say, but you are looking at judging the lives of the wealthy and judging the lives of Pip's old life, and which one seems to be better and which one would you rather live in at the end of the day. It's very fascinating. Love is a main theme in this as well, but not as it's normally played out in films, but that's the thing with Dickens. He'll tackle normal situations, but in quite an obscure way. The character of Estella, I think, is very wonderful. She has a lot of messages and morals running right through her, even though she herself doesn't have that much emotion going on behind her. And when you watch it, you'll realise why that is. But it's very interesting. Miss Havisham is wonderful as well. Absolutely love her. She's such a really creepy kind of evil character, but at the same time she's not. She's just a broken soul. That is all she is. But she lashes out in very obscure ways. So I think there's a lot of different things going on there. It's really quite a busy film. It lasts for over 2 hours, so the amount of things that's covered, the amount of angles that it's looked at, is absolutely phenomenal. It's directed by Newell, I think I'm pronouncing that right, who directed The Goblet of Fire. And it's really interesting. We get some point of view shots at different times, primarily through Pip, but we do get a couple of other angles to play on. And it's really interesting the direction it takes some of the time. There are some really gorgeous scenes. There's a particular scene with birds in a sky, which lasts for about 5 seconds, but it blew my mind away, especially on the big screen in the cinema. It's gorgeous. But my favourite scene is also the scene I hate the most. I can't tell you what happens in it because it will ruin this, even though I think it's in the trailer. But it's Miss Havisham's last scene. That's all I'll say. You'll know which one it is, probably when you get to it, I imagine. But it's just so powerful, and the angle, it's just so full on and in your face, and it's quite scary. This film is a 12A. I should point that out, it is a 12A, and there are, especially as it goes further towards the end, there's a scene with a ship, and that's quite dark as well. It does get quite gritty towards the end, kind of from about the halfway point. So the directing I have no complaints with. It is absolutely wonderful. And then we get to the cast, which is the most exciting thing. Obviously Helena is phenomenal in it. She is wonderful. Miss Havisham kind of reminds me a little bit like Mrs. Lovett. The costume, the way it shapes her, is quite similar. I think the history and the background of the character is quite similar. Not the same, but brushing away the surface, it's quite similar. So Miss Havisham I love, and Helena, it's perfect. To be honest, if Helena wasn't in it, I probably wouldn't have gone to see it, so I'm glad she was in it. We've got Robbie Coltrane in this, Ralph Fiennes, David Walliams, which I forgot David Walliams was in it when I went to see it. It was when he came on screen. It was quite amusing. The 3 stages of Estella I think is wonderfully cast. We get to see little toddler Estella for a couple of minutes, but then the young Estella is, when we saw the adult Estella, I realised the casting was fantastic there. She looks perfect. Now, I don't know if the actresses are related, I don't imagine they are, but they look wonderful, exactly like each other as they should. So the casting there all across is brilliant. My favourite person in this, though, Helena aside, is Ollie Alexander, who plays Herbert Pocket. That character just is so exciting, and because when you have a narrative, you can't just have it all depressing and dark. because, you know, you'd want to kill yourself by the end of it. So what his character does is add just a little bit of fluffiness to it. And I like that. He's a lovely character, and the actor is brilliant. So the cast as well is fantastic. The fact that Helena was in it is just perfect. I couldn't ask for anything else from Great Expectations. Absolutely loved it. In honesty, not a fan of the novel. I read it about a year ago and didn't enjoy it. But on screen, the way it's transformed, the way it's presented, absolutely love it. Directing fantastic, cast top notch. Helena is perfect as ever. Please feel free to leave comments and let me know your thoughts on this, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!